What's going on? This is your man John Fortune, your host of the Frustrated Fan Sports Show. And today we found out that Adam Peters is the general manager of your Washington Commanders, not the head of player personnel, not the head of football operations. He's going to actually be the general manager. And this goes back to what I said before about how I don't like the fact that, a lot of times things are done to appease the Rooney Rule. Putting on all those requests for those coaches. Adam Peters more than likely is going to go with people that he's comfortable with or people he knows. So that now puts Bobby Slowick at the head of the table, and that puts probably Brian Griese at the head of the table. After this was announced, another report came out in which he actually said that he might want to hire Steve Wilks as the head coach, and he was talked out of it. So now here we are again where this might concern me a little bit more, because now we're talking about how much power does Adam Peters actually have? Because if he felt that Steve Wilks could have been a very good coach here, and we trust his evaluations and his evaluating of people, players, and coaches, then at some point you got to understand that let this man do his job. Let him fail by his own accord, not because people are convincing him not to do something that he wanted to do. Because let's just say Adam Peters goes out there and hires somebody different, right? And it doesn't work out. Then all of a sudden now he can sit up there and say, well, I wanted to hire Steve Wilks because I trusted Steve Wilks, but yet they convinced me not to do it. Whoever they are. It was just said that people convinced him not to go with Steve Wilks. Steve Wilks has been known for great defenses. That's without a shadow of a doubt. Did he fail in Arizona? Yes, he did. But guess what? In Arizona, he had a lot of problems there. Not only that, I'm pretty sure he wasn't the one who came up with the drafting of Josh Rosen at quarterback. But I'm pretty sure Steve Wilks will have a great defense. And on top of that, I would expect for Steve Wilks to have been like, you know what, Brian Griese is here. I'll bring Brian Griese with me. Or whoever's in Buffalo that he probably felt comfortable with, and be like, hey, I'll bring whoever in Buffalo with me. I mean, it's kind of crazy that, you get the excitement of knowing that you're going to have a guy come in and him be the general manager, but then all of a sudden you get a report that says somebody or people convinced him not to hire the guy, not to hire or consider the guy that he himself felt good enough to consider. I mean, not every coach is meant for a job, but not every coach is bad just because he was bad his first go round. We all saw that Steve Wilks didn't have a really good he didn't have a good response in Arizona. But who's to say he hasn't grown since then? I mean, hell, I remember Adam Gase did awfully in Miami and was fired from Miami one year. The very next year found a new head coaching job with the New York Jets the very next year. And he failed poorly in Miami. I don't like to be doom and gloom on a day that's supposed to be a day of excitement, because when I first came on, I was going to talk about it how, okay, now we got to see where he goes. Bobby Slowick. I was even going to say, hey, you know, this now brings up Steve Wilks, because Steve Wilks is under that thing. You know, but again, guess what? Now it's also a waste. It's kind of a waste, because I don't think Ben Johnson is going to be the guy here. Because I don't know if he can think beyond that. I don't know if Adam Peters can think beyond the San Francisco model. I don't think. So that means Aaron Glenn is out. Ben Johnson is out. I don't see these two guys getting jobs here in Washington with Adam Peters being the head of this. Now, Bobby Slowick might be here because, again, he comes from that San Francisco background. I wouldn't be surprised if Brian Greasy is here. I mean, if they were smart enough to bring him here. But again, you're talking about, why do we have to go down this path each and every time when we think we got the person that's going to be in charge and make the great decisions, and then somebody convinces him to do something different? We don't know what Sam Wilks is going to be. All we saw was what Sam Wilks was in Arizona. That's all we saw. Now, I know a lot of people are going to be like, but John, you know, if he was so good, but understand this. He might be a great coordinator. That's without a shadow of a doubt. But guess what? Let them make the choice to not use him. Let Adam Peters make the choice of not going with Steve Wilks. Let him make that choice. Let him make the choice if he did go with Steve Wilks. Let him make the choice, because again, I don't want anybody who's going to sit up there and leave here and say, hey, you know what? We're firing you, but, you know, and then they walking away and saying, well, I didn't want that guy anyway. That's not the guy I wanted. See, and this is why I said what I said about the last thing, about requesting interviews with these coaches, and these coaches really aren't going to be considered for the job, really, in reality. Especially when you already turned down a guy that was on his list. I don't want to be doom and gloom. I understand that it's coming off that way. But I like I said again, as a person, again, we've gone through this. We've gone through this. We've gone through people getting involved, being in a way, and doing things that's not meant to be. Sometimes you got to let the person do their job and not sit up there and have somebody over his shoulder while he's trying to do his job and criticizing the things that he feels comfortable with doing. I hope Adam Peters picks the right coach. I really do. And I hope it's a coach he himself feels good about, and not a coach that someone else feels good about. Because again, we've dealt with this. We've dealt with this. I don't want us going back into the pits, because we got people here that are not making the decision easy for a guy who's coming in to do a job. Get out of the way of people who've had success, and let them do what successful people do. Run businesses and make things right. Don't tell him something is wrong before he even has had the opportunity to see if it's going to be wrong. Because understand this, you could be just as wrong. Like, yes, again, Bill Belichick failed in Cleveland. and just recently got fired after 24 years in New England. There are coaches that fail other places and end up successful somewhere else. It does happen. There are guys that are successful somewhere else and fail in the next spot. It does happen. Like I said, I'm glad Adam Peters is here. I just want everybody to get out of his way. Let the man do his job. Let the man choose whatever coach he wants to choose. Let him choose whatever quarterback he wants to choose. Let him do his job. Let him do the job he's hired for. Don't get in his way. Don't make no suggestions. None of that. And I understand that everybody gonna be like, well, if I'm the owner, I can make... But guess what? The reason you hire a guy like this is because you can't go out there and do it yourself. That's why you hire a guy like this. That's why you get the guy to come in. You don't get him to come in and then stop him when he wants to make a decision. Like I said, I'm glad Adam Peters is here. I felt that as a talent evaluator, he was probably a better choice than Ian Cunningham, who's more analytics type driven. And again, he was in Chicago this year. You know, Chicago, they made some moves that were really good. They made some really, really good moves. But I don't know how much of a talent evaluator Ian Cunningham is. But again, we'll see how it goes. Like I said, I'm glad Adam Peters is here. I'm glad he's here. Like I said, my only issue is the fact that they already got in his way. And we don't need that. We don't, as a fan base that's trying to get back on board, that wants to build confidence, not only in the front office and the coaching staff, but also ownership, because understand, we had a awful ownership experience. And if we are not letting the people come in who know what they're doing, do their job, then you're getting in the way of progress. Y'all tell me what y'all think. I like the Adam Peters hiring. How do y'all feel about the Adam Peters hiring? Not only that, how do y'all feel about what I just told you, where there was a report that just came out not too long after he sat up there and was hired, that they had convinced him they had convinced him not to even consider Steve Wilks for the job when he felt the need to consider Steve Wilks for the job. Y'all tell me what y'all think. Other than that, this has been your man John Fortune, and this has been the Frustrated Fan Sports Show.